Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Kristen Cherry. I am a housing policy analyst with the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. I work very closely with the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing program, along with our partners at UGA, GMA, and Georgia Power. It's my pleasure to be here virtually to be talking with y'all about the GICH Alumni Certification process. So today I'll just go over a brief overview about what the certification is, what the process looks like. I'll walk through page by page the 2020 application, and then at the end I will leave my contact information for anyone to ask questions in case they need further clarification. So the certification really started in 2017. And what it is just a mechanism of continued accountability with our GIT communities who have graduated from the 3-year program. So you all know, because you were in the program, that during those 3 years, much of the work that y'all do is centered around creating and implementing this housing plan. And what it is a document of short-term and long-term goals and progress towards those goals throughout the 3 years that you're in the program. So we also recognize that sometimes, and oftentimes really, lots of the issues that communities are trying to tackle are big ones, right? Housing issues did not come about overnight, and they're not going to be solved overnight. So we know that once teams graduate from the program, that they continue to work towards achieving these goals that are in the housing plan document. And to that end, and with that in mind, we think it's important to be able to reward those communities who do just that continue to put the housing plan document that was created while they were in the program as a priority in their community. And what that reward looks like is really special consideration in DCA programs. So if you'll just remember, while you were in the program, the special consideration that you get while in the program is listed here on the left. So you get extra points on the Community Home Investment Program application. You, if you apply, get an extra point on the LIHTC application for developers coming in looking to develop low-income housing solutions in your community. And lastly, you're also eligible to be exempt from the every other year rule in the Community Development Block Grant program. And that rule really just states that, for example, if you are rewarded CDBG monies in FY19, generally you would not be able to apply and receive those monies again in FY20. You would have to wait until FY 2021. But as a GIG community, you are able to tap into those CDBG monies each year. So you're able to apply and receive funds in FY19, and then if you're interested, apply and hopefully receive funds again for FY20 and again in FY21. Now, once you graduate the program, and if you go through this process that I'll explain in the next couple of slides and become a certified alumni, you will still be able to tap into 2 of those special consideration perks, one being the LIHTC point, and the other, which is new this year, being the exemption to the every other year rule in CDBG. Now, I do want to note here that certification status is required for alumni communities to be able to tap into the 2 special considerations bullet points listed here on the right. If you'll notice, CHIP, the Community Home Investment Program, is not listed here. It's important for me to kind of stop here and note that if you go to our website, which I'll have on the next slide, and kind of just read through the CHIP manuals if you're interested in applying, if your community would like to tap into those monies, you'll note that certification for an alumni community is not required for an alumni community to be able to get extra points in the application. There are a couple other requirements that are listed very clearly in that manual, but just note that the certification aspect is not required for the CHIP application in the event that you're interested in applying. But for LIHTC and CDBG certification, that status is required to receive that special consideration. So what I've included here on this page is a couple of screen grabs from the two programs that I was just speaking about, the Low Income Housing Tax Credit Program and the Community Development Block Grant Program. So on the left is a screen grab from the Qualified Allocation Plan, the QAP, which is really the policy document and guide for the Low Income Housing Tax Credit Program. And here is a specific section that talks very directly to GIC, to receiving this extra 1 point that GIC folks are eligible for. So I'm reading from the top, and it says 1 point will be awarded for projects that have a letter from a DCA GIC team, either current or certified alumni, which clearly, and then it goes on to state what the requirements are for that letter of support coming from a GIC team. Note here that it very specifically says either a current team, so a team that is currently participating in the program, or a certified alumni, not just an alumni. I want to very clearly state that any team that has participated in the 3-year program and has graduated is an alumni. Not all teams are certified alumni, meaning not all teams have gone through this process that I'm about to walk through in order to receive certification. If you're looking to receive that extra point on the LIHTC application, the certification is required. I'm reading 2 paragraphs down from there where it states, alumni GIC teams which have not successfully completed a GIC alumni certification application within the previous 2 years are ineligible for the point in this section. I just want to stress here that certification is required to receive this extra point. Now on the right side, I've included screen grabs from the CDBG applicant's manual for 2020. And here you'll see that they have clearly highlighted that change that I was just speaking about in the previous slide to eligibility in GIC communities. It reads, for the 2020 CDBG annual competition, DCA will allow an exception to the every other year rule for communities that are certified alumni of the GIC program, as well as communities active in the 3-year program. And then below that, I've just included the page where it specifically talks to that. But here we just want to note, and this is really important, and we're really happy that we've been able to do this, that now certified alumni are able to be exempt from that every other year rule. And again, I want to stress we have intentionally included the language certified alumni to note that you have to go through the certification process that I'm about to explain in order to receive this specific special consideration. Now, certification is valid for 2 years. So in order to stay certified, teams have to resubmit an application every 2 years. Note that recent graduates of GIC will automatically become certified alumni for 2 years following graduation. This shouldn't be super relevant to anyone who's currently watching this. I'm guessing that most folks who are accessing this webinar are folks who have graduated probably prior to 2019, and so that piece is kind of irrelevant to you. But since the certification has been implemented since 2017, recent grads are automatically certified for 2 years. After those 2 years, they must go through this same process in order to be certified. So note that DCA will continue to accept applications for new or continuing alumni certification every year. And this just means, for example, if you're looking to apply this year, 2020, as a certified GIC alumni, but perhaps you don't meet one of the criteria that I'm going to explain in the next couple slides, that you will be able to reapply in 2021, so long as you meet those criteria. And so we will accept applications every year, but to be certified, you only need to apply every 2 years. I hope that helps to kind of clarify. And next, I also want to speak to who should apply. And so the bullet points here below kind of capture who needs to apply, but maybe an easier way of saying it is that if you are a team who has graduated in 2019 or were certified in 2019, those are really the only 2 categories that do not need to apply in 2020 for this application. So I'm going to repeat that. Teams who graduated in 2019 or who received their certification in 2019 do not have to apply in this round of applications for 2020. So the next 3 bullet points really capture everyone else, right? So if you were certified in 2018, you need to reapply this year because your certification is only good for 2 years, so it is set to expire this year. If you graduated in 2018, like I was speaking about before, your certification is also set to expire, so that certification is only good for 2 years. Again, it's 2020, so we're asking that you reapply in this application cycle. If you graduated prior to 2018 and were not certified in 2019, you also need to apply in this application cycle. And that's really just what I was just speaking to. So unless you were certified in 2019 or unless you graduated in 2019, you will need to apply in this certification cycle this year. And all of that really hinges on 2 things. If you're interested, if your community is interested in that extra point on the LIHTC application, or if your community is interested in being exempt from the every other year rule on the CDBG application. Remember that certification is required to receive those extra points in consideration in those programs. So new this year, we've created an application manual that we are hoping will just help ease the process. We know that this is a relatively new process. Some folks might not have heard about it or are still confused about it. And so what this manual does is really just walk through page by page, step by step, the application. It tells you exactly what needs to be submitted, how to fill out the application, where to submit it to, and what the requirements are. So we're hoping that this will be a great resource for everyone watching this to be able to tap into. That resource is available at the link here listed on your screen, along with the application. Both are available on the website at this link, so you're able to access those documents. So now I will just walk through the application page by page and talk about what the criteria are that need to be met in order to receive the certification designation. And there are 4 criteria, and the first being GICH team continuity. And really what this is saying is that we want to know that you still have a team that's assembled. In order for us to know that, we're asking that you submit an updated team roster that reflects any changes that have been made. And on the application, here on the right, you'll see it's probably too small to see on your screen, but you should be able to access the application. It really just asks for you to submit the name, the title, contact information of each of the team members. And what this does is, for us, is to create an accurate database of folks who are participating in the program. This is what we will use in order to send out information, any resources that we have, information about upcoming retreats or webinars. This is really key to us. So this is the first requirement that we're asking that folks meet in order to be certified as alumni. So the second requirement is broken into 2 pieces, one being retreat attendance. So as you know, GICH hosts 2 retreats a year, one in the fall and one in the spring. This requirement asks that at least one member of your alumni team has attended at least one GICH retreat per year during the last 2 years. We're also asking that you provide evidence that that one team member has reported back out to the full team what they have learned from the GICH retreat. Right, so we don't want one member to go to the retreat and just kind of hold all that information to themselves. We know that that's not helpful. So we're asking that you provide evidence that they have reported back out to the larger group. So on the right side of your screen, you'll see a screen grab of the application, and it's really clear. All it asks is that you check which of the retreats at least one member has attended, and you check all that apply, and then to list the names of the folks who have attended those retreats below that. And then in bold at the bottom of the page, you'll see that we ask that you provide evidence of that report back, either in the form of a meeting agenda or meeting minutes that clearly states that this person has reported back out what they have learned from the retreat. So the second part of this requirement is continuing education, and this looks a little bit different from the previous slide, the retreat attendance requirement. And what this requirement asks is that at least 4 members of your team have attended at least one form of continuing education per year during the last 2 years. That can be, a webinar, local training, workshops, anything that is relevant to affordable housing. We want to know that at least 4 members of your team have attended that continuing education. On the right side of your screen, you'll see that we just asked for you to provide the date, the name of that event, what the format was, so whether it was a webinar, a training, a workshop, and what team members were present for that event. We don't ask that you provide supporting evidence. We just ask that you list the names and the events that were attended. The third requirement is annual performance. And really what this is looking at is making sure that GICH alumni teams are meeting regularly. We know that so much of the work that is done happens in these meetings. So we want to know that they're still going on even after graduation if you're seeking certified alumni status. So this asks that you provide evidence of a schedule and minutes from regularly held meetings. The requirement is that at minimum you have provided evidence that at least 2 meetings have taken place from the past 2 years. So we're asking that you have at least 2 meetings in the past 2 years and there's a majority of your team members present for these meetings. So on the right side of your screen you'll see the screen grab from the application. It has a chart for you to fill out asking for the date of the meeting, the topics that were discussed, and the members who were present. And then it asks in bold that you provide meeting minutes and agendas from these meetings proving that they took place. And the last requirement hinges on that housing plan that we talked about earlier that is so important. We know that this document really helps to ground and center our teams in the work that they're trying to do around affordable housing. So we want to know that it's still relevant. So we are asking that you provide an updated housing plan that has been updated at least in the past 3 years. I want to note here that if your team has not updated their housing plan in the past 3 years, there are 2 things that you can do. One, we ask that if it's not been updated that you provide a progress report of the steps taken to implement those goals that are listed in the plan. That will be sufficient. Or if that's not taken place, we ask that you submit, if it's relevant, a local planning document, whether that be a comprehensive plan, urban redevelopment plan, in replacement of this housing plan. But we only want to see the housing related elements of that plan, right? So if your housing plan that you created in the GICH program is no longer relevant, and you've created totally new goals and you have integrated that into a community-wide document like a comprehensive plan, please submit that piece of the comprehensive plan to us as proof that you're still working towards a plan. So here I've just provided a visual of what the certification lifecycle will look like for this year. So once you apply and you meet those 4 requirements that I just spoke about in detail, you will be certified in March of 2020. The 2 programs that require that certification I've listed here, CDBG and LIHTC. Their applications are due in April and May, so you will have your certification status before those applications are due. And again, that certification is good for 2 years. So in March of 2022, when this application opens up again, you are required, if you're looking to still receive those special benefits, you're required to submit another application for certification. Lastly, here's just a timeline which you should have already been provided, but the application has been released, the webinar is now published, and applications are due March 20th, and you will receive announcements by March 27th. You'll receive a letter, official letter on DCA letterhead that says you are certified. It will have information about what that certification means and when you'll need to reapply if you're seeking certification in the future after that 2 years has expired. Again, the application is due March 20th, 2020. In that application manual that I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, you will have specific instructions about how to submit the application, but essentially it's very simple. You are submitting the document, so the actual application that you download, and then you're submitting any supporting documentation that is required, and that's clearly listed in the application in the manual. and you're submitting it directly to me at the email that's listed here on your screen. And again, those are due by March 20th. If you have any questions between now and then, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'm happy to clarify or assist in any way that I can. It's really our pleasure to be able to support our alumni communities in this way. So, whatever we can do to kind of help you get this done, we're happy to do it. Thank you.